ready with me for a whole day of studying, to be honest. Today I have to get through the rest of my semester's worth of information. I have started, but I still have about halfway left to go for the semester in itself. And I don't know how I feel about that, because for one, I do love whatever I'm studying, but at the same time, it's a lot of information. And so whilst I'm very excited for the exam and passing and moving on, I'm very much stuck in that place of like, when will this be over? You know? And I'm certain a lot of other students, university, high school, otherwise, feel that way as well, because it's kind of a perpetual cycle where it's like you've only ever known studying or working or just moving. You've never been in a state of just peace. I remember talking with a friend of mine recently, and she was like, or is it him? I can't remember if it was a guy or a girl, and they were like, ever since I've known you, you've always been studying. I'm only 22, 23. I was born in February and it's currently January. I'm 22. I turned 23 in a couple of weeks. And they're like, and yeah, I'm still pretty young, and so being in school is pretty okay. But the idea that my entire life I've only ever been in a schooling system it's a lot to say again, right? I don't think I've ever really taken time off from school. My friend has, my best friend, she has, and I think it did her quite a bit of good. I haven't had the opportunity. The only time I was never in school was 2020, and that was only the beginning of 2020. By September I was back in school, so there was never a year in my life where I can say, oh, I took a year off and I got to do this and I got to do this. I've always been studying. I've always been in school, and I feel like there comes a point in everybody's life, especially in a student's life, where you kind of get a sort of burnout. And sadly for me, that's happened multiple times. It's happened in ways where you don't really realize it's a burnout until afterwards, I want to say. You don't actually pay attention to something being burned out or something being a burnout cause until it really starts affecting your day-to-day life. And that's how it was for me, right? I wasn't focused on that. I was really more focused on the moment, where it was like, oh, I have to get this and I have to get this and I have to get this done. If I don't, then I'm screwed. If I don't do it, then I'm obviously gonna have to make up for it later on, and it's not gonna be easy, it's not gonna be this, and it's not a good idea. I want to say take time. As someone who's been there, still there, I'm still going through that cycle of learning that slowing down is my best option. It is a way for me to really focus on the important things. I feel like when you are so focused on the grand picture, you kind of lose sight of the smaller things in life. And being a student, if you're only focused on ensuring that everything around you is done, you're not really focused on taking the time to acknowledge certain things, you miss out a lot, right? You miss out on moments that you should look back on and appreciate, moments that you should look back on and say, well, I'm really glad that I had this in my life. I'm really glad this happened when it did. Trust me, I've had a lot of those moments, especially recently. Living in a foreign country is a lot of work. It's a lot of adjusting because you aren't used to it. It's another culture that you have to assimilate to. And friends of mine who are also in foreign countries, they kind of say the same thing. It's nothing like being back home. When you're back home, you're used to certain things, especially if it's that that's all you've ever had growing up, right? Even if you do travel, it's not the same as actually being in a space that is foreign for a quite a long period of time you're traveling. So you're not really focused on actually getting to know where you are in the sense where you're living. There's more so, or you just want to see it and experience it so that you have that memory to go back home to. In this scenario, I am here. I am stuck here for the foreseeable future. I say stuck very lightly, it's not a bad thing. But I am here for the foreseeable future, and I have to really remember that for myself so that I don't lose sight of myself. Because trust me, assimilation is a real thing, and people assimilate all the time. And it's not a bad thing if you're prepared, and it's not a bad thing if you want to. But someone like me who really loves her culture, I really don't ever want to be in a position where assimilation takes over my entire life, right? And one of the things that you don't realize happens with that is, especially when you're around people, a friend of mine was saying, you know, you don't realize how much you tend to blend into your society until you get a real wake-up call, right? And again, with being focused on everything except, you know, the smaller things, it does not come to the forefront until sometimes it's too late, right? You only ever notice that you've really fit into society when you're looking back and you're like, oh my gosh, that is so this of me, or, you know, that's so not this person that I was 5 years ago. And that's not to say that you're supposed to remain the same person that you were 5 years ago. That's unrealistic, right? Nobody is the same person they were then that they are now, right? But if you're moving to a country that isn't your home country, unless you're planning on really giving up every part of yourself that was from where you're from, also something I don't ever recommend to anyone. If that is what you're planning to do, that's okay. Nobody's gonna blame you, nobody's gonna stop you. However, I don't think that should be at the forefront of anyone's mind, if I'm being honest. You know, you it's your home, it's who you are, it's who made you. You may not like it, but it is who you are, and so you should want to keep that part of you. You may not like it, the memories might not be fun, but it's important. It's important for when you're looking back on your life and you see just how much you've been affected by your choices, by your environment, that you actually thank the environment that you are in. And I know some people are gonna be like, what about people who don't come out from their environment? You know, they tend to not make the best. That's a very different situation. Not everyone is born into the right environment, and I'm very grateful that I was. Not everyone is. I can acknowledge that. However, this is more so about people who leave their home countries, move to other countries, and kind of just pretend as though the country that they're from is so much worse than it actually is. And I've actually heard that from people where they move to foreign countries and it's like, well, you know, it was like this and it was like that. And I'm like, but it's where you're from. You were given the opportunity to move to another country because of where you're from. You know, the environment that you were placed in at birth is what gave you that inkling, that push that you needed to move there. It might not be a good situation that you were in, but it was a situation that drove you, and it was a situation that pushed you to where you are now. So instead of degrading it just because you don't like it, look at the positives from that situation, right? And like I was saying, I'm in the middle of preparing for exams. I'm studying, or at least preparing to study, and all I've done since I've picked up that book is really go through a sense of dread, because for me it's one, I'm in my second year of university, which means that everything around me is pushing me towards final year, which is really a time of acknowledgement. Like, what are you gonna do with your life once you graduate? And not everyone knows what they're gonna do with their life, but that's okay. Like, no one should. Not everyone is gonna, and that's okay. You know, why are you gonna force someone to like make decisions at 20, 21, 22, however old you are? You know, it's different when you've lived your life and you're kind of just pushing to like get a degree because you have something in mind, versus when you're young and it's more so, I don't know what I want to do yet, and someone looks at you and is like, well, why don't you know what you want to do yet? It's okay. It's okay, trust me. It's not the end of the world. You're young. You have your... I know this is like very cliche coming from someone my age, but you are young and the world is literally your oyster. You can do whatever you want. There's nothing stopping you when you are not old. And even when you are old, what is the definition of old? Right? You're as old as you feel. Nothing is gonna stop you from getting to where you go if you persevere, unless you have some natural enemy that's entire position in life or purpose in life is to see you not make it, which congrats to you for being the main character. But other than that, it's a pretty big world. There's a lot of opportunities and you may not find it where you are. You may need to go somewhere else. You may need to leave. And again, that is okay. I think I'm at a point now where I'm really finally settling into where I'm living currently. I wasn't before, mostly because I'd never seen this place as my home. And not to say that in a bad way, more just like I literally grew up in my home country. I moved here when I was an adult. I was 18. And so all my thoughts, all my perceptions of life and what life are from where I'm from, right? So acknowledging this place as my home was kind of not what I wanted to do with myself, with my life. And I know my best friend lives here with me. She moved from Jamaica, which is where I'm from, shout outs. She moved from there here with her mother. I moved here from there with my mother. And know that we're both, or at least know that I'm in my second year of university. Like I said, I'm almost at my final year. I've really started acknowledging that this might be a second home to me, because I have made a lot of new memories here. I've made a lot of friends here. I've, you know, been put in a place where a lot of my decisions are now impacted solely upon myself, not really anyone else around me, you know. And so I feel like now is the time where I want it to be my home. I don't know if it's always going to be that way. I mean, I don't know if I'm ever going to move anywhere else. I don't know if I want to move anywhere else. I don't know if there's any other place on earth that will give me the same opportunities that England has given me, you know, because England is a type of place where you come and you make memories, and if you leave, it takes a lot with you, you know. A lot of my friends that live here all my friends actually that live here are from England. They are people who I have met who have created a lasting effect on my life, and it was in a way that made me really think about the togetherness of a country. Very different from my home country, which isn't a bad thing. Like, I'm not saying the togetherness of my country is non-existent. I'm saying the way in which we cultivate as a community back home is very different from the way you cultivate as a community here. It has its similarities, but what doesn't? You know, they're both countries that they have the same level of economic drive where, you know, they're both trying to ensure that, or at least one is trying to ensure that its country is uplifted as best as it can, while the other is ensuring that its rich people are uplifted as the best they can. You know, corruption exists everywhere. However, living here, it's shown me that your situation does not define you. Your place in life does not define you. And I'm really looking forward to myself, where I go in life from this, because, you know, I'm not the same person that I was when I was living back home, because the person that I was living back home was very young, very unaware of a lot of things, but very willing to learn. The person that I am is a lot older, still very willing to learn, but more aware of, one, my position back home. I never realized just how blessed I was. You know, I never realized just how much I was given in life. Ooh. Because that was never something that was really spoken about, at least not in my circle, not my friends. My friends are very similar in economic status as I am. But moving here, it's very easy to see the differences in society back home. Nobody, unless you are someone who really likes to flaunt their position in life, you don't really see someone else's economic status unless you're looking for it, seeking it out, right? Which, if you are, again, congrats to you for being main character. But I think everyone's going through life right now where it's like we're all in very similar boats, unless you are very rich and nothing that's happening in this economic world is affecting you. Congratulations for being the 1%. But every other middle-aged family is just doing their best at this point. And it's now that I'm older that I realize just how much my life was a blessing for me. And that would not have happened if I didn't move to this country. It would not have happened if I didn't make the choices that I did. Well, my mother, she made the choices that she did. I really just followed along to her. And moving to university here, moving my entire course of study to what I'm doing, it would not have been made possible without that, because this was not what I was going to study in university. This was not what I was studying in university, right? It was a whole other ballgame that I was involved in. And one of the reasons that I chose this path, one, I love what I'm studying. It's amazing. But again, it's a lot of hard work. And for me, hard work was never something that I really put much focus on, because why would I? What am I working hard for? You know, I had so much given to me that I did not see how blessed I was until, like I said, I moved to another country. Moving to another country really solidified what I knew about myself, and that I'm very much blinded by my situation to see other people's. No, I'm not. No, I am way more open. Talking with my friends a lot as well has shown me just how much I was cut off from all the things happening in the world. But you know, it is what it is. I think I've ranted so much today. I don't think anything I said makes sense. But we are where we are. And it is what it is. This is the final look, guys. But yeah, I think I've ranted so long. And not really said much. This is very king and like, oh. I don't think I was expecting it to be this pink. It's my first time trying it. It is the Bare Mineralist Lip Gloss Balm. It is very glossy, pale. It's very, yeah, it's sucking out the life out of my lips. No. Let's put this on. I give my OG, my tried and true Fenty Gloss Balm. It's not at all the same. You can see the difference because that was very pink. I really wasn't expecting that. I thought it was like a basic gloss. I didn't think it was that pink in color to just like drain my entire face. You could literally see, you could see the draining of color right into my lips just from that lip gloss alone. That tells you a lot about color theory, which, you know, is something that I really need to look into for myself. I have a lot of colors. I know what colors match me. Red, yes. Obviously, this is a look in and of itself, and I'm gonna spend my entire day with a look like this, going through notes. Fingers crossed for me. But I will see you in the next one. I really hope when I go through this video, some of it is useful information. If not, I will just, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might voice over. I don't want to do that. I did that in my last video and I really wasn't happy about it because I touched on a lot of things that I didn't end up touching on in the voiceover, and it was mostly because I went on a whole tangent that I never ended up using. But I do want to focus a lot more on actually speaking in the videos this time around. Actually speaking in the videos, not doing a voiceover, because I feel like a lot of what I say in the moment, I do actually want to touch on it in the videos that I'm putting out, but I ramble. I need to make a script. That is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a script. I'm going to force myself to actually really look into not rambling as much as I do. And I'm fingers crossed. No, I'm declaring, because I'm not gonna hope. I'm declaring that anything that I put out after this, if I put it out, anything I put after this is gonna be 10 times better than it was before. So, mwah, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.